In this video, we shall mainly prove the rank nullity theorem. We start with the following theorem. Let V and W be vector spaces over the same field F. V1, V2, Vn is a basis of this vector space V, and W1, W2, Wn are any n vectors in W. Then there exists a unique linear transformation T from V to W such that T of V1 is W1, T of V2 is W2, and T of Vn is Wn. Let us understand this with this example. Let us take this map T from vector space of 3 tuples to 3 tuples over R. 1 0 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 1. This is a basis of R cube. Now suppose T of 1 0 0 is 213, T of 010 is 215, and T of 001 is, let us say, 123. So T is defined on these three basis vectors. T is a map from R cube to R cube. There would be infinitely many maps between R cube to R cube which map these three vectors to these three vectors. But theorem says that there is only one linear transformation that maps these three vectors to these three vectors. Let us start proving the theorem. We first define a linear transformation from V to W such that T of V1 is W1, T of V2 is W2, and T of Vn is Wn. So let us take a vector V in V. We are given that V1, V2, Vn is a basis of V. So we can write V uniquely in this form: alpha 1 V1 plus alpha 2 V2 and so on up to alpha n Vn, where these alpha i's are unique scalars in F. Now we define T from V to W by this way. T of V we can write down as this way, and now define T of V to be equal to alpha 1 T of V1 plus alpha 2 T of V2 and so on up to alpha n T of Vn. So T of V is defined by this way. Now because these alpha i's depend on V and they are uniquely determined by V, so this shows that T is well defined because definition of T depend on these alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n, and they are uniquely determined by this vector V. So as soon as we change this vector V, these alpha i's are changed, and so this T is well defined. Now if we apply T on any Vi, we can write down as 0v1, 0v2, all scalars are 0 except the coefficient of Vi, that is 1, all others are 0, and so by definition of T this is equal to Wi. So we have a map T from V to W which is such that T of Vi is equal to Wi for all I. Now we show that this is linear. For this we take two vectors x and y in V. Then T of x plus y is equal to T of, put the value of x here, this is alpha 1 V1 plus up to so on alpha n Vn, then beta 1 V1 to beta n Vn. Now we can add these two vectors this way. Coefficient of V1 becomes alpha 1 plus beta 1 and so on. Coefficient of Vn is alpha n plus beta n, and by definition of t, this is equal to alpha 1 plus beta 1 into w1 and so on up to alpha n plus beta n wn. Now we can separate this single vector into these two vectors, and this first vector is nothing but t of x and this second one is t of y. So t of x plus y is equal to t of x plus t of y. So t is additive. Now let us take a scalar in f. Then t of alpha x is equal to t of alpha times this vector. This is the value of x. We can multiply alpha with every component here. So this becomes alpha alpha 1 v1 up to alpha alpha n vn. Now we can apply the definition of t. This is equal to alpha alpha 1 w1 up to alpha alpha n wn. Alpha is taken out and this vector is nothing but t of x. So t of alpha x is equal to alpha times t of x, and so this shows that t is a linear transformation. We now define the uniqueness of t. For this we take another linear transformation from v to w whose behavior on basis vector is same as that of t. That means s of vi is same as t of vi, that is s of vi is wi for each I. We show that s is same as linear transformation t. To show that s is same as t, we have to show that s of v is t of v for all vectors v in v. So let us pick a vector v in v. Then s of v is equal to s of this vector. But because s is linear, this we can write down as alpha 1 s of v1 and so on up to alpha n s of vn. But s of vi is wi, so this becomes alpha 1 w1 up to alpha n wn. But now each wi is equal to t of vi, so this vector becomes equal to this alpha 1 t of v1 plus and so on up to alpha n t of vn. Again t is linear, so we can write down this vector as this way, t of this, and so it is t of v. So s of v is equal to t of v for any v. So this implies that s is same as t transformation, and hence t is the unique linear transformation. Now this map defined on basis vectors, t was defined on basis vectors t of vi equal to wi, and we have extended this t to the whole of v by defining this way. This was the definition. So we say that any map defined on basis vectors of a vector space can be extended to a unique linear transformation on the whole of vector space. So once we have defined a linear map on the basis vectors, then that is fixed. Or another way we can say that when we have defined a map on a basis vector, then we can extend that map to be a linear transformation on the full vector space. We now define the kernel and range of a linear transformation. T from V to W is a linear transformation. Its kernel is defined this way. It consists of those elements in V which are mapped to 0 of W. So all V in V such that T of V is 0. This set is called the kernel of T, and the range of T is nothing but the set of all images of T. Notice that kernel of T is a subset of V and range of T is a subset of W. As an example, consider this transformation T from R cube to R cube. It sends xyz to the point xy0. So it's a projection on the xy plane. And you see that any three-dimensional point under T goes to this point on xy plane. So range of T is the xy plane, and if we pick any point on z-axis, any point on z-axis is of the form 0 0 z, and if we apply t on this point, then we get, by definition of t, x and y becomes x and y in the image, but z becomes 0, so 0 0 z will become 0 0 0. So all points on z axis map to 0 of r cube, and so z axis is the kernel of this linear transformation. We now show that kernel of T is a subspace of V and range of T is a subspace of W. To show that kernel of T is a subspace of V, we take two vectors in kernel T and a scalar from field. If x and y are in kernel of T, then T of x and T of y is 0. Now T of x plus y is equal to T of x plus T of y, but both these are 0, so we get 0. So T of x plus y is 0, so that means x plus y is also in the kernel T. Now T of alpha x is alpha times T of x. This is alpha times 0, it is 0. So alpha x also is in kernel of T, and this shows that kernel of T is a subspace of V. Similarly, we can show that range of T is a subspace of W. This small proposition says that if some vectors Vi span V, then their images span the image of V, where T is of course a linear transformation from V to W. Now to show that these images span the image of V under T, we pick an element W, a vector W from this image T of V. Because W is in T of V, there will be a V in V such that T of V is W. But now Vi's span V, so V can be written this way for some scalars alpha I. We can apply T on both sides, so T of V is equal to T of this vector, but T of V is W, so W is equal to alpha 1 T of V1, because T is a linear transformation. We can write this vector this way. So it is alpha 1 T of V1 up to alpha n T of Vn. So that means W is spanned by these vectors T of V1, T of V2 up to T of Vn. So that means these vectors span T of V. This is the definition of rank and nullity of a linear transformation. We have a linear transformation T from V to W. The dimension of range of T is called the rank of T, and the dimension of kernel of T is called the nullity of T. We showed that range of T is a subspace of W and kernel of T is a subspace of V, so we can talk about their dimension. Rank of T is denoted by this way, RT, and nullity of T we denote by this symbol NT. So rank of T is dimension of range of T and nullity of T is dimension of kernel of T. We now prove the rank nullity theorem. This theorem says that if T from V to W is a linear transformation, then dimension of V is sum of rank of T and nullity of T. So to prove the theorem, we suppose that dimension of range of T is R, that means rank of T is R, and dimension of kernel of T is S, that means nullity of T is S. Dimension of range of T is R, so its basis will consist of R vectors. So let W1, W2, WR be a basis of range of T. And similarly, suppose that V1, V2, Vs is a basis of kernel of T. Now each Wi is in the range, so it will have some pre-image under T. So we are supposing that ui is the pre-image of wi under T. That means T of ui is equal to wi. Now we have these r vectors u1, u2, ur in V, and we also have s vectors v1, v2, vs in V. We shall show that these r plus s vectors form a basis of V, and this will in fact prove the rank nullity theorem, because dimension of V will become r plus s, and that is rank of T plus nullity of T. To prove that B is a basis of V, we shall prove that B spans V and B is linearly independent. We first show that B spans V. That means every vector in V can be written as a linear combination of vectors of B. So for this we take a vector V in V. Then T of V will be in the range of T. But range of T is spanned by W1, W2, WR. So we can write down T of V as a combination of W1, W2, WR for some scalars beta I. Now we take this vector x, which is equal to beta 1 u1 up to beta r ur minus V vector. Then if we apply T on both sides, we get T of x equal to T of this vector, but T is linear, so we can write this as this way. But T of u1 and T of ur, these are w1, w2, wr, so we get this one, and this is nothing but T of V, and T of V minus T of V gives 0. So T applied on x gives us 0, so that means x is in the kernel of T, and kernel of T is spanned by v1, v2, vs. So we can write this x as a combination of v1, v2, vs for some scalars alpha I. Now put the value of x here. X is this vector, so this is equal to this one, and from here we can find out what is V. So V is linear combination of u1, u2, ur and v1, v2, vs. So this shows that V is spanned by the set B. We now prove that B is linearly independent. So suppose that there exist scalars such that this linear combination is 0. We shall show that all these scalars are 0. That means only 0 scalars can kill these vectors. So B will be linearly independent. Now if this combination is 0, then applying T on this, we get T of 0, which is 0. When we apply T on this vector, we get alpha 1 T of u1 and so on up to alpha r T of ur, then beta 1 T of v1. But v1, v2, vs are in kernel of T, so their images will be 0 under T. So we are left with only this thing. But T of ui is wi, so we get alpha 1 w1 up to alpha r wr is 0. But wi's are linearly independent because they are bases of range of T. So alpha I will be 0 for each I. They can be killed by only 0 scalars. So by 1 we are left with this expression equal to 0. But now also v1, v2, vs are linearly independent. So beta I are also 0. And this shows that B is linearly independent, and hence B is a basis of V. This proves the rank nullity theorem.